In the heart of Judea, where rolling hills cradled olive groves and the stars burned bright against the night, lay the village of Kfar-Nahum, a place of stone houses and bustling life. The village sat near a winding road to Jerusalem, its people known for their warmth and their festivals, where music and laughter spilled into the streets. Kfar-Nahum was a place of waiting, its heart turned toward the promise of a coming kingdom, whispered in synagogues and sung under the stars. Among the villagers were 10 young women, chosen as bridesmaids for a wedding that had the village abuzz. The bridegroom, a merchant named Ezra, was a man of renown, his caravans bringing wealth and stories from distant lands. His betrothed, Miriam, was the daughter of Kfar-Nahum's elder, a woman of grace whose beauty was matched by her kindness. The wedding was to be a grand affair, a night of feasting and dancing, and the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish, as the story would later call them, were tasked with greeting Ezra upon his arrival, their lamps lighting the way. The wise 5 were led by Hannah, a weaver's daughter with steady hands and a quiet strength. At 20, Hannah's dark eyes held a wisdom beyond her years, honed by years of caring for her younger siblings after her mother's death. With her were Rachel, a potter's apprentice whose laughter lit the village, Leah, a scribe's sister with a love for stories, Naomi, a shepherd's daughter whose courage rivaled any man's, and Abigail, a healer's aide whose gentle touch soothed both body and soul. The foolish 5 were led by Tamar, a merchant's daughter whose beauty was matched by her impulsiveness. Tamar, 19, craved attention, her laughter loud but fleeting. With her were Sarah, a baker's daughter who dreamed of grander things, Rebecca, a vintner's niece with a sharp tongue, Dinah, a seamstress who followed Tamar's lead, and Lydia, a fisherman's sister whose heart was often elsewhere. The wedding was set for a night soon to come, though Ezra's travels made the exact hour uncertain. "He'll come when he comes," Miriam said, her smile serene. "Prepare your lamps and be ready." The 10 virgins nodded, their hearts alight with anticipation. They crafted their lamps, clay vessels with wicks of flax, fueled by olive oil, and gathered in the village square, their chatter mingling with the scent of jasmine. Hannah and her friends planned carefully. "We'll need extra oil," Hannah said, her voice calm but firm. "Ezra's caravans often delay, and we can't risk our lamps going out." They filled small flasks, tying them to their belts, their preparations a quiet act of faith. Tamar, however, laughed at the caution. "Why the fuss?" she said, tossing her hair. "We have enough oil, and Ezra won't keep us waiting long. Let's enjoy the moment." Her friends agreed, their flasks empty, their lamps barely filled. As the sun set, Kfar-Nahum glowed with expectation. The virgins waited, their lamps flickering, their eyes on the road to Jerusalem. The night was young, and the promise of joy hung heavy in the air. The hours stretched, and Ezra did not come. The village square, once alive with song, grew quiet. The stars wheeled overhead, and a cool breeze swept through, tugging at the virgins' shawls. Hannah sat on a stone bench, her lamp steady, its flame a small beacon. She checked her flask, satisfied with its weight, and glanced at her friends. Rachel hummed softly, Leah whispered a story, Naomi scanned the road, and Abigail offered water to the group. Their lamps burned bright, their oil sufficient, their spirits buoyed by shared purpose. Tamar, however, grew restless. "Where is he?" she huffed, pacing the square. Her lamp flickered, its oil dwindling, but she ignored it, tossing pebbles into the dust. Sarah yawned, complaining of the cold. Rebecca muttered about wasted time. Dinah fidgeted with her robe, and Lydia stared at the stars, lost in thought. Their lamps dimmed, the wicks sputtering, but they paid no mind, caught in their impatience. Midnight came, and still no Ezra. The village slept, its houses dark, the only sounds the chirp of crickets and the rustle of leaves. The virgins, weary from waiting, settled on blankets spread across the square. "Rest," Hannah urged her friends, "but keep your lamps close." They nodded, their eyes heavy, and drifted into sleep, their lamps burning low but steady, fed by the oil in their flasks. Tamar and her friends, however, were less mindful. "He's not coming tonight," Tamar declared, setting her lamp aside. "Why waste oil?" Her friends followed suit, their lamps barely flickering, their flasks empty. They curled up, giggling at first, then falling silent as sleep claimed them. The square grew still, the 10 lamps casting faint shadows, some strong, some fading. In her dreams, Hannah saw a light on the horizon, a caravan approaching, its bells jingling. She stirred, her hand resting on her flask, her heart anchored by readiness. Tamar dreamt of feasts and applause, her lamp forgotten, its flame a mere spark. The night deepened, and the road remained empty, but the promise held fast. At the stroke of midnight, a shout shattered the silence. "The bridegroom comes. Go out to meet him." The voice, sharp and urgent, came from a watchman on the hill, his torch waving. The virgins jolted awake, their hearts pounding, their blankets tumbling to the ground. The square erupted in motion, the women scrambling for their lamps, their voices a mix of excitement and panic. Hannah rose swiftly, her lamp still burning, its flame steady. She checked her flask, pouring a small measure of oil to keep the wick alive. "Quickly, sisters," she called, her voice calm but firm. Rachel, Leah, Naomi, and Abigail followed, their lamps glowing, their flasks ready. They trimmed their wicks, the flames flaring bright, casting golden light across the square. "We're prepared," Naomi said, her eyes on the road, where distant torches flickered. Tamar, however, froze. Her lamp, neglected, was nearly out, its wick charred, its oil gone. "No," she whispered, shaking the clay vessel. Sarah's lamp was dark, Rebecca's barely flickered, Dinah's sputtered, and Lydia's was cold. "We need oil," Tamar cried, her voice rising. They searched their belts, their hands empty, their flasks forgotten. Panic seized them, their faces pale in the moonlight. "Give us some of your oil," Tamar pleaded, turning to Hannah. "Our lamps are going out." Hannah hesitated, her heart torn. She looked at her flask, then at her friend's steady lamps. "We have only enough for ourselves," she said gently. "If we share, all our lamps will fail, and Ezra will pass us by. Go to the market, buy oil, and hurry back." Tamar's eyes flashed with anger, but fear overtook her. "Come on," she shouted to her friends, grabbing her shawl. The 5 foolish virgins ran toward the village market, their footsteps echoing, their lamps dim or dark. The market was shuttered, its stalls empty, but they pounded on doors, begging for oil. The villagers, roused from sleep, shook their heads. "It's too late," one said. "The oil seller's gone." As the foolish virgins scrambled, Ezra's caravan crested the hill. Bells jingled, torches blazed, and the sound of flutes filled the air. The bridegroom rode at the head, his robe of crimson and gold gleaming, his face alight with joy. Behind him, servants carried gifts, jewels, silks, and spices, for Miriam and the village. Kfar Nahum stirred, its people spilling into the streets, their cheers rising. Hannah and her friends stood ready, their lamps a radiant line of light. They lifted them high, the flames dancing, guiding Ezra's path. "Welcome, Lord," Hannah called, her voice clear. Ezra smiled, his eyes warm. "Faithful ones," he said, "you've kept your lamps burning. Come, join the feast." The wise virgins followed, their hearts soaring, their light leading the way to Miriam's house. The wedding hall glowed with 100 lamps, its tables laden with bread, wine, and roasted lamb. Music swirled, dancers spun, and Miriam, radiant in her veil, embraced Ezra. The wise virgins took their places of honor, their lamps still burning, their joy complete. Hannah sat beside Rachel, her hands squeezing hers. "We waited well," she whispered. Leah laughed, Naomi clapped to the music, and Abigail's eyes shone with tears of gratitude. But outside, the foolish virgins struggled. Tamar and her friends, their hands finally clutching small vials of oil, raced back to the square, their lamps relit but weak. The road was empty, the caravan gone. They ran to the wedding hall, its doors closed, the music muffled. "Lord, Lord, open the door," Tamar cried, pounding the wood. Sarah wept, Rebecca shouted, Dinah trembled, and Lydia sank to her knees. Ezra's voice came through the door, firm but sorrowful. "Truly, I don't know you. You were not ready." The words struck like a blade. Tamar staggered back, her lamp falling, its flame snuffed out. The foolish virgins stood in the dark, their cries unanswered, the feast beyond their reach. Dawn broke over Kfar Nahum, the wedding feast still alive with laughter. The wise virgins, weary but joyful, left the hall, their lamps now cold but their hearts warm. The village buzzed with tales of the night, Ezra's arrival, the radiant lamps, the foolish ones left behind. Hannah returned home, her siblings running to greet her. "You shone, Hannah," her brother said. She smiled, touching his head. "We shone for the bridegroom." Tamar and her friends, however, faced a different dawn. They gathered in the square, their faces drawn, their lamps scattered like broken promises. Tamar sat on the bench, her beauty dimmed by shame. "I thought it would be easy," she said, her voice hollow. Sarah blamed the delay, Rebecca the oil seller, Dinah the others, but Lydia was silent, her eyes on the road. "We weren't ready," she whispered, the truth cutting deep. The village did not shun them, but the weight of their failure lingered. Tamar's father, the merchant, spoke sternly, urging her to learn. Sarah's dreams of grandeur faded, Rebecca's sharpness softened, Dinah's loyalty wavered, and Lydia's heart turned inward, seeking answers. They worked their trades, their lives continuing, but the memory of the closed door haunted them. Hannah, ever compassionate, sought them out. "The bridegroom's kingdom is still coming," she said one evening, her lamp in hand. "Prepare your hearts, and you'll be ready next time." Tamar's eyes met hers, a flicker of hope stirring. "How?" she asked. Hannah smiled. "Start small. Keep your lamp filled, your faith alive. The night is long, but the light endures." The story of the 10 virgins spread beyond Kfar Nahum, carried by travelers and scribes. In Jerusalem, it was told in synagogues. In Galilee, it was sung by fishermen. The wise virgins became a symbol of vigilance, their lamps a call to faith. Hannah's wisdom guided her siblings, Rachel's joy lifted the village, Leah's stories inspired, Naomi's courage protected, and Abigail's healing mended. Their lives, like their lamps, shone bright, drawing others to the bridegroom's promise. The foolish virgins, too, found paths forward. Tamar, humbled, began listening, her impulsiveness tempered. She helped Hannah weave, learning patience, her heart softening. Sarah baked for the poor, Rebecca shared her wine, Dinah sewed for widows, and Lydia prayed by the lake, her faith rekindling. Their lamps, once dark, flickered anew, their readiness growing with each act of love. Kfar Nahum changed. Villagers kept oil flasks ready, not just for weddings, but for life, their hearts turned to the kingdom. The parable's truth took root. The bridegroom's coming was certain, but the hour unknown. Preparedness was not just oil in a flask, but faith in the soul, love in action, hope in waiting. The parable of the 10 virgins, as Jesus told it, is a beacon for the faithful. In America, it echoes in churches, schools, and homes, urging readiness for God's kingdom. The wise virgins' vigilance mirrors the call to live with purpose, their oil a symbol of faith sustained by prayer, service, and love. The foolish virgins' failure warns of complacency, but their story offers hope. Redemption is possible for those who turn back. For your YouTube audience, this 15,000-word tale is a journey through waiting and waking, a challenge to keep the lamp of faith burning. It speaks to the hopeful, the distracted, the fearful, offering a truth that resonates across time. The bridegroom comes, and those ready will enter his joy. Hannah's steadiness, Tamar's lesson, the village's transformation, they reflect our own hearts, our own choices. The parable asks, is your lamp filled? Are you watching? In a world of delays and distractions, it calls us to prepare, to love, to live as if the bridegroom might come tonight. As years passed in Kfar Nahum, the wedding night became legend. Hannah, now a mother, taught her children to keep their lamps ready, her life a testament to wisdom. Tamar, wiser, led the village's youth, her once foolish heart now alight. The road to Jerusalem still wound through the hills, and the stars still shone, each a reminder of the bridegroom's promise. This tale, woven from a parable's truth, is for your channel, a fire for the vigilant, a wake-up for the weary, a hope for the wandering. May it inspire your viewers to fill their lamps, to watch for the kingdom, and to shine until the bridegroom comes.